Craig Smoak.
Zach Barnett at Zach with an H _Barnett. College football writer for Football Scoop at footballscoop.com. Award-winning essayist as well. He's a Sam Houston Elementary Spelling Bee champion. Had to throw that in there, Zach, as well. All right, so let's start with Joey McGuire. This happened pretty quickly. I know they interviewed quite a bit. Your thoughts about Tech? Did they scratch the itch with Joey McGuire, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think it's a great hire. And, I mean, I pitched him as a candidate on our podcast, not that anyone making this decision for Tech was listening, but I think it was pretty obvious that Jeff Traylor was their top target, and he clearly chose to stay at UTSA, signing that big deal on Halloween. And I kind of pitched him as, a less experienced but a toolsy version of Jeff Traylor. I mean, I didn't know him when he got to Baylor. I, of course, knew of him from winning his state titles at Cedar Hill, but I knew some guys who were holdovers on the staff, so I was asking them all just kind of independent of each other, what do you think of the new guys? And to a man, each one of them said, oh, you got to meet Joey McGuire. He's incredible. You got to meet this guy. And after the third time, I was like, geez, I guess I do got to meet him. I mean, what's so special about him? And then I met him, just ran into him at the AFCA convention, and instantly, I mean, within 5 seconds, I got it. Among all the head coaches that I've met and I won't even limit it to head coaches. Among all the coaches I've met and interacted with on a personal level, I put his interpersonal skills on the same plane as Mac Brown and Pete Carroll. He gave me that same feeling where and logically it's not true, but in your head, you think that you're the most important person he's met that day. And I mean, he did it with me. He'll do it with recruits. So I'm certainly not telling anyone in your audience something you don't know, but I joined the chorus of voices saying that he'll be a great hire for Tech.
Zach, Scott Frost news today as well. He's coming back. Was this really kind of the only? I mean, if there are only bad options or bad ideas, to steal a quote from the movie Argo, was this their best bad idea?
I think the two moves, the Tech hire that had happened now and the Scott Frost retaining him, are kind of interconnected in the way that if you're not moving by October, then you're behind just because of the transfer portal and the early signing period. I think ADs have kind of noticed just how many new head coaches are just getting destroyed in year one and year two because they just don't have a chance to put a recruiting class together. So I think obviously they were still in the evaluation period, and to use I love that Argo line. If you're going to fire him, you're pretty much punting on 2022, just because the new guy will be starting from scratch. And so you're at this point when there's genuine reason to believe Nebraska is better than his 3-7 record. So I think they made the prudent choice, certainly the financially prudent choice, to let it roll one more year.
So out in Gainesville, Dan Mullen's made some changes as far as the staff goes, but I mean, it's fair to say, Zach, that seat's pretty hot right now. What are your thoughts on Mullen, the Gators, and what happens there moving forward?
Yeah, I'd be surprised but not stunned if he's back next year. John Hevesy, he's coached with him for 20 years now, and rarely at this point in a tenure does changing out an assistant here or there, especially a guy that's your guy like a Hevesy, really lead to material difference at this point in the game. I know Brian Kelly did it at Notre Dame, so it can be done, but it's pretty rare. So, the Florida job is just a meat grinder, unlike none other, because every Florida football fan was raised on Steve Spurrier and Urban Meyer. And if you're not, one of the top 10 guys of your generation, then you're a fraud in their eyes.
Yeah, that it does seem that's just a matter of time. Now, with TCU, and now that Texas Tech has filled theirs, TCU is next. They had a huge win, and in a lot of ways, very surprising win against Baylor on Saturday. What do you think happens there? What do you feel like is their pecking order?
I still feel like it's Sonny Dykes' job to lose. Certainly, that's why Tech moved on from him or moved quickly. The people that I talked to there got the sense pretty early on that he wasn't interested in coming out to Tech because he had his eyes on Fort Worth. So at the same time, the Star Telegram reported that Billy Napier and Matt Campbell have had conversations, and that doesn't surprise me because TCU is a great job. I mean, Billy Napier was interested in the Baylor job this time around, so why wouldn't he be interested in TCU when it's an equally good or arguably even a better job? So I think TCU is doing the right thing by dangling this out in front of their wish list and seeing who bites. But at the end of the day, I still think I'd still be surprised if Sonny Dykes is not the guy at the end of the day.
Who are some coaching candidates that people aren't talking about, or guys, assistants that might be flying under the radar right now? Because there are some big-time jobs out there, and I know LSU, USC, that they're kind of giant hunting, but there's not a lot of giants, Zach, when people really step back and look at it.
Yeah, I think, Hugh Freeze is a guy that's eminently overqualified for his job. He's one of the best 15 head coaches in the game right now, and he's working at a top 60 job. So certainly you'd have to hold your nose and swallow to hire him from a certain respect. But football-wise, there's no doubt he'd go and make a program better. Jamie Chadwell is a guy that is overqualified for his job. His offense is where the sport is going, and he'd be a great hire. And then, the guy I just mentioned, Billy Napier. I mean, what he's done at Louisiana, I think he could scale up to a Power 5 job and do it pretty darn well. It's just a matter of finding the right job for those guys.
What do you think about what's going on with Jimmy Lake in Washington right now with the recent suspension? They've obviously struggled. Do you see that as being something to keep an eye on, or do you think there's more to play out there?
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty rare that a guy gets suspended for a game in year 2 and then goes on to have a successful tenure from there.
Right.
Obviously, he's been there since he got there with Chris Peterson and has rode shotgun with him for all their highs. They won the Pac-12 North last season, didn't get to play in the title game because of COVID, but, for whatever that's worth, they did win their division last year. But, it goes to show how massive the coordinator hires are, especially on the opposite side of the ball. Jimmy Lake obviously is the defensive guy, retained Kwiatkowski for his first season and then promoted Bob Gregory, who was already there, to run the defense with his oversight, but he whiffed massively on his offensive coordinator hire, John Donovan. He fired him yesterday. So does he get another chance? I'd say it's 50-50 at this point. There's rumblings that they might pull the plug. I don't know, but it's obviously not looking good.
Well, we didn't ask about the elephants in the room that are still out there, USC and LSU. What are you hearing on that?
LSU, Mel Tucker is the hot name. I don't know if it'll. I think I've heard talk that the people at LSU are interested in a different Power 5 head coach. I'm not going to say who it is, but they're going to get someone big. I'm sure we'll see another round of Jimbo rumors later on this year once it gets close to hiring time. But gun to head at this point, I'd say it's probably going to be Mel Tucker. As for USC, a month ago I probably would have said James Franklin. Now I don't see that happening. I know there's coaches in the profession that think Urban's going to get the job. I doubt that, but I don't think you can put that talk to bed at this point. Just because, as prideful as Urban is, prideful to a fault, he'd be admitting absolute failure to leave Jacksonville after 1 year. But people more connected than I think he's going to get that job.
Zach, thank you very much, man. Zach _Barnett on Twitter, Zach with an H, and also footballscoop.com on many things college football. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Also, just got a text